All right, DJ Football here. I am excited about today's episode. Today we're going to be doing a draft, an example draft, so you can see it real time. You see how I think through the process, how I draft to make sure I get a solid team come day one of the season. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with that in just a second here. First of all, happy 4th of July. Fantastic day. Super excited. It's been a fantastic day. So make sure you watch this next segment here. I'm going to give you some video, live video, and really dive in to how to draft and be successful at it. And we're going to use Yahoo, Yahoo.com, their fantasy NFL draft client and their website. And so that's what we're going to use. There's lots of other options. Make sure you, again, watch the previous videos if you want to know what you can do to prepare for your draft. I made a whole video on what you can do to make sure that you are ready to rock and roll. So here we go. All right, so here we're at the Yahoo Fantasy Football homepage. We'll go ahead and I'll show you how to enter a mock draft. So go to Draft, select Mock Drafts. Then on this page, it will show you the different drafts that are available that you can join and how full they are. You can see the different types of drafts. You've got 8-man, 10-man, 12-man, 14-man. So here we'll join this 12-man draft. I chose position 11. I would recommend trying different positions throughout the different mock drafts you're doing because it's going to be randomized when it's for real, and so you want to make sure that you have a good idea of what to do in each of these situations. If you get picked at the beginning or the end or the middle. So here on the right-hand side, I've got, you can see Alex is online. Then hello, Alex. You've got my draft list. So I'd highly recommend you make a draft list. I put X's in the box next to the player when they've been drafted, a Y or a circle or a 0 in the position if I chose that player. What this does is I rank all of my players, and that gives me an idea of who's my next best pick if they get chosen, so that I'm not searching through their list. I've got my own list. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. You'll see how that works a little bit more once we get jumped into the draft here. So we just got to wait till that timer's up and we'll get going. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about what you see on the screen here now. So this is what the Yahoo draft client looks like once it's loaded. You can see there's a minute 34 up on the clock right there till the draft actually starts. Here it lists all the players that are available ranked in order by the Yahoo experts. So this is the order that they believe they should be ranked in. Also, it depends on how they've been drafted by players in the mock drafts. So here you can see their projected points for 2017, their 2016 points that they earned last year, and all of their previous stats. So if you're not sure who a player is or who to choose next, you can use these stats to learn more about them and make a decision. There it also talks about what position they play. It gives their name, their bye weeks, and it also gives you status on the player itself. So if there's a little yellow note next to the player, here you can see excellent analysis of the player, and it tells you how are they doing, are they injured, what are experts saying about them, things in training camp. It's pretty fantastic. So I recommend reading those little notes if you don't have a lot of background on these players already. So before we get started here, you can see that I've got my list that I've created on the right-hand side, my draft order, and then their draft order here on the left-hand side. And so they don't always correlate, and they won't always correlate. A lot of the good players are going to be in similar rankings. On my draft list, I've got those bold lines separating them by caliber. So you can see there, I believe Le'Veon Bell is a head above Jordan Howard. And so there it gives you a caliber of players so that you know I'm getting first caliber of wide running backs, first caliber of wide receivers, and you'll see how that plays into the draft picking at this point. So the draft just started, and number 1 here, you can see down in the bottom right, you picked David Johnson, and so it will list who's been picked. There, number 2, Le'Veon Bell, and so it'll show you who's been picked in what order. As they're picked, I mark off that they have been drafted. That way I can tell who on my list is still available that hasn't been drafted yet. So there goes Antonio Brown. We mark him off on the wide receiver list, and we go like that as follows throughout the entire draft. If you're marking accordingly, you can see if there's been someone that you believe is good that was missed, that no one's picked up yet. And you can also see, oh, I've got a caliber 1 running back available still, or in this case, a caliber 1 wide receiver, and only a bunch of caliber 3s left. So I've got a big opportunity to pick up, a caliber 1 wide receiver here. And so that's why I separate them into caliber. There goes LaShawn McCoy. We mark him off. Now you can also see here that yellow line on the screen that designates where it believes if everything just went in order, that's where our turn would be. So we're coming up here. We have 4 picks left until our turn. So it's a little bit of a waiting game. You've got to kind of decide who do you want, who's most important, but it's not only dependent on what you want. You have other people's decisions that are playing into this. So you see I've lost all of the caliber 1 running backs and wide receivers. Now my strategy is always to take a running back or wide receiver on rounds 1 and 2. If the highest I can get, if all my round, I prefer running backs, but if all my caliber 1 running backs are gone, I still have a caliber 1 wide receiver, I'll take the wide receiver over the running back. I usually like to alternate, so I'll take a wide receiver round 1, a running back round 2, but that's not always the case. Again, it depends on who's available. If I have 2 superstar running backs available and only caliber 3 wide receivers, I will take the running backs and sacrifice the wide receiver position. So here we go. Now it's our turn to draft. So I'm just finishing up here because I missed a few picks. Yeah, we got it all up to date. So it looks like Melvin Gordon, caliber 2 running back. Again, I'm dealing here with caliber 2 wide receivers and running backs. So I'm choosing the caliber 2 running back because I prefer the running back position as long as there are significantly decent running backs left being available. So here I'll put a different mark there so I can designate that I've taken them. And that also, along with the list on the right-hand side, and it's our turn again because we were near the end of the list, 11 out of 12. So this is what a snake draft is. So I'm deciding here between running back, wide receiver. I'm going to take a, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and go with a second running back. I believe that DeMarco Murray is good enough that he will outperform Dez Bryant in the long run. So there I've taken 2 running backs, 2 caliber 2 running backs, very solid running backs, and now I've got to figure out how to make up the difference in the wide receiver position later. Because that will hurt me, but I believe the benefit from the 2-star running backs is going to benefit me greater. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment in the comments below and ask. I'd be happy to share my knowledge and information with you. If there's any confusion or hesitation or misunderstanding, please let me know so that I can clarify and make sure that you have an awesome drafting experience. I love drafting. Oh my gosh, this is so fun for me. I love doing this. And so practice your mocks. It's surprising, but doing your mock drafts are really going to make your drafting experience, your real life drafting experience, a better time for you. You're really going to do better. You're going to end up with a better team as you try to draft different positions earlier, and you ask, okay, why running backs and wide receivers first? Don't I want my quarterback? Isn't Aaron Rodgers the superstar? Yes, but there's a few reasons why we don't do that. And so we've got 16 picks before our turn here, so let's see what we can get done. All right, 3 more picks till our turn here. Now, usually I'll go with a running back and wide receiver for the first 4 picks, at least, maybe even more after that. But you know what? Mr. Rob Gronkowski is fantastic. My one exception to that rule is if he's available in the 3rd round, I will take Rob Gronkowski because he is so significantly better than any other tight end out there, and it almost always pays off. So, as you can see, Rob Gronkowski got taken, so we're looking for a different option. Now, I picked up 2 stud running backs early, And so now I'm looking at my caliber 4, maybe even 5 wide receivers. And so at this point, I'm comparing projected points and last year's points, and I'm taking wide receivers to balance out my team. So you can see there on the right, it gives me my current roster. So I just picked up a wide receiver, and it filled that roster spot. So I have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. The draft continues exactly like this as follows. But again, I'm going to continue showing you the next 3 picks so that I can give you some tips and tricks. So you can set a queue up, which means I just clicked add to queue, and that gives you these players here in this box, and it lets you track them without having to find them on the list. It also marks the blue star for you. What this also does is if for whatever reason I'm not able to make a pick, my computer freezes or something happens, I'll show you my next pick here, what happens. It will pick the next player that I have queued. And so I can rearrange that queue order so that I can set it so that if I don't get a chance to pick or I miss my turn, it will still pick the player I want next. If you don't have someone queued, it will give you the next available position that you need. So in this case, it would pick me a quarterback, and it would pick the best or the highest ranked quarterback on their list. And so whatever that is needed there, quarterback, kicker, defense, it will pick the next needed position and the highest one ranked, which is not what you want to happen, because usually we reserve the kicker and the defense until the very last 2 picks. And so, and the quarterback is going to be late, like round 6 or 7, unless you can get Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady earlier than that, like on round 5. And so, hopefully that helps. That queue order has saved me in the past, and it's fantastic. Also, there's some players like Mr. Macklin here. He's number ranked 144, but I really like how he looks there in Baltimore. And so I want to keep an eye on him, but I'm not going to draft him early. And so I put him in the queue so that I can make sure to keep an eye on him. And if someone picks him up, I'm aware of it. And if not, I can make sure to get him before the end of the draft. All right, so we've got our 5th pick. This is the 5th round here. And so at this point, again, I would look to fill my wide receiver, running backs if they're not filled, or if I've got a rockin' tight end available, I might take a tight end. So there I'll take Michael Crabtree as my next wide receiver to fill that 3rd wide receiver spot. Again, this is very dependent on your league and what positions you have available to you that are active each week. So make sure you know if it's a 2-quarterback league, the drafting system will be very different. So this draft is for specifically a standard draft. So I'm going to give you an example here of what happens if you do not draft anyone. So if I don't click draft player. So here we go. We got 25 seconds. And you'll see I've got Michael Bennett listed as my next person queued. And so what will happen is, since I don't have, even if I had another tight end picked, since he's queued, it will pick up Mr. Bennett for me. So here in 6 seconds, you'll be able to see that. So this queue is very valuable. It allows you to keep your eye on certain players. It also drafts for you if you're not paying attention or if something happens. So, excellent. So that is a draft. Hopefully that helps you. If you've got any questions, again, please leave them in the comments. I love to get your comments and share with you how I succeed and to make you succeed as well. Excellent. You have a fantastic fantasy football season. We'll see you next Tuesday. And DJ Football out!